Patrick's Landing, novel by Marie D. Henry, copyrighted 2010. Second episode, beginning on page 6. Oswald took his time and marked a tree here and there until he came to an area that he felt would be a good spot to build the barn for the horses and cows and other farm animals. He staked out the size of the building by blazing the trees. He counted about 10 huge spruce trees that he would use for lumber and felt satisfied. His footsteps were silent on the thick ferns that grew from the dark loam, rich soil under his feet that had been built up over hundreds of years from the leaves and needles of the trees. He stopped to listen. There were birds by the hundreds all around him singing their early spring songs. They would be finding mates and getting ready to build their nests, he guessed. A smile parted his lips at the thought that he too was getting ready to build his nest, but unlike the birds, his would last a lifetime. He turned and looked back at the place where the white blazed marks shone in the late afternoon sun, marking out where the house would be. His heart raced at the thought of the beautiful girl he had met at Christmas, sharing his life and dreams. And as the picture of her filled his memory, his young body ached with desire to hold her in his arms. He walked carefully over some fallen trees and brush until he came to a cedar stake marking the width of his 50 acres. He stopped and gazed around, and then through the thick growth westward. This land between me and Alphonse's farm belongs to Cousin David, he reminded himself. I would like to buy it to add to my 50 acres, but I do not have the money right now. However, I will ask him to sell it to me, and I will have to do that as soon as possible because Alphonse is trying to buy it, and I do not want to be wedged in between Father's farm and Alphonse's with only 50 acres. I want 100 acres. I will not be satisfied with less. Convinced, he continued to plan his future. I will have to speak to David soon, but what can I offer him? He turned and looked back the way he had come. The sun's slant was deeper now, and the woods were beginning to darken, and the air cooling. He started back, following the blazed marks until he arrived at the fence that was the line between him and his father's land. He climbed to the top of the rails and jumped to the ground on the other side. Here the trees were thinned out and he could see the house and barn through them. His eyes stopped on the barn. The means as how to get the 50 acres of land from David flashed into his mind. The mare. I will offer David the mare for the 50 acres. He threw back his head and laughed. David wanted to buy her